Yes, everybody. I hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is Connor here, and we are back with your Spurs preview. It's weird, isn't it? I'm not outside Ellen Road, but I am here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm not. It's just the visual. But yeah, I wish I was going down on Sunday. As I say, I hope you're all doing really well. Your Spurs preview, it's been a while, hasn't it? It seems like it's been a while. It feels like longer than 2 weeks. It also feels like ages since I've been on a stream with just you guys. Obviously, there's been the debrief, which has been going on for a while now. Make sure you check that out, guys. You're absolutely loving that. I think accumulatively over sort of 5 episodes, we've got over 60,000 views, 50, 60,000 views. So thank you so much for that. And just overall, the channel's doing well. So thank you so much for your continued support. Make sure you're liking and commenting as always. And make sure you're subscribed as well if you're watching this and you're brand new. Let me just get into your comments straight away. As I will say, guys, there are over 120 of you in here. Make sure you're liking that button. Evening Connor says Gordon. Donny says, I hate the break. Bang on. Jack, back here. How you doing, mate? My man. Ian, back here. All the regulars are here. James says, loving the yellow rims Tottenham have over their stadium. That's it, mate. We're going to be dancing there on Sunday. Well, I'm not personally. I'm sure there are a lot of people who wish we were there to get the golden ticket to go to this place. What a stadium it really is. Good morning, Connor says, gamer guy. Looking tasty, Connor. Thanks a lot, mate. And let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into your Tottenham Hotspur preview, guys. I want to keep this brief because I don't want to waffle on for too long. Listen, you listen to me every single Monday for about an hour and a half, so I want to keep this short and sweet. So let's get on to it anyway. So from a tactical perspective, it's going to be a really tough game, isn't it? I mean, let's make no bones about it. It's going to be a really, really tough game, this one. We've got Marcelo Bielsa's press conference tomorrow, which I am not covering, unfortunately. It is my day off tomorrow, so I won't be able to give you that instantaneous review from Ellen Road, as I won't be there covering it for work. I will be probably just out and about doing stuff. But yeah, obviously what we're going to find out from that, we're going to find out what's going on with regards to our key men in Luke Ayling and Marcelo Bielsa and Marcelo Bielsa and Patrick Bamford. Marcelo Bielsa's key artillery in this Leeds side who've been out for quite a while now. And just to give you a little bit of an understanding, really, on exactly how long Patrick Bamford has been out of this side. Harvey Elliott is back in training. He's been out for 7 weeks. Patrick Bamford, no sign of him in training so far from what we've seen this week, last week, and normally there's indications on social media as well. And it's been 6.5 weeks now. So for a lot of people who are waiting game by game by game, if we don't see him this week, we've already discussed it, but I think he's in for a long haul out. And I will predict, based on nothing, but normally this is the trajectory with what we see with Leeds United, we may not see Patrick Bamford until the new year, which is frightening. It really is. But listen, there's been improvements, steady improvements to this Leeds United side, but with regards to Patrick, we don't know what's going on. And it's the innocuous ones as well. It's the ones where you get a little bit of a knock. And I'll take you all the way back to that Newcastle game where he carried on playing the entire game after he'd taken the knock. So who knows what's going on there? But it's a little bit, yeah. And James has just said there, and it's exactly what I just said. Connor Harvey Elliott is back in training. It's only been 7 weeks since his injury, and that's essentially what I'm saying there, James. We don't know what's going on with Patrick, but it's been over 6 weeks now. So that's something to get out of the way straight away. In terms of the tactical nuance of Tottenham Hotspur, let's get into it right away. So it's Antonio Conte's first home game here. So the atmosphere is going to be absolutely buzzing. We know that Tottenham have been through a bit of an identity crisis for me in the past sort of 3 to 4 years since Poch has moved on. Mourinho came in, it didn't really work. I think Mourinho's a little bit of a dinosaur at the minute. Obviously, Nuno's come in, he didn't really have the brand of football, and we were lucky enough to play Tottenham at Ellen Road with Ryan Mason as interim boss, which massively helped out Leeds. I thought the players were completely down tooling for him. They weren't interested really. And Leeds went on and won at a canter. And in that game, if I hark you back to Ellen Road, when we played Tottenham Hotspur, it should have been 4-5-1. Leeds were magnificent that day, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. 2 weeks on the international break, you would expect a new manager to come in and adapt and get used to his players. Antonio Conte hasn't had that, which is a big, big factor with this game as well. Why, I hear you ask? Well, because to imprint Antonio Conte's very specific, very intertwined methods when it comes to cohesiveness throughout the squad, it's absolutely essential that he's working with his top players, and he hasn't been over the past 2 weeks, which is a big beneficiary and importance in this game, especially for Leeds United. So that's one thing to keep in mind with regards to this one. I watched them against Everton. Obviously, they drew 0-0 at Everton. Everton were unlucky not to get the win in terms of the VAR decision, which went against them. But overall, I thought Tottenham did look a little bit different. They looked a little bit stronger. They looked, how do I put this, a little bit sturdier and a little bit more resolute. And a lot of Tottenham Hotspur fans, if you've done your research and you've watched your fan channels, you've watched your podcasts, you've read some articles, which I've done indeed, all the trio, they were very, very enthused with what they saw against Everton in terms of the initial phase of this whole Conte regime. So that's definitely something to take away from that as well. They're going to be playing 3 at the back. A lot of people mistake Antonio Conte for being a defensive coach. He is not a defensive coach. He's a very attacking coach who throughout his career has made absolute wonders out of wing backs. I'll hark you back to Marcus Alonso at Chelsea, who was a complete nobody who came in and has had a really good career at Chelsea. And he's, Ashley Young when he was at Inter Milan, a little bit of a revelation out there in Serie A. And so what he's done, Hakimi's another one as well at Inter Milan. So what he's done is he's always able to get the best out of certain individuals, and wing backs are certainly the beneficiary of Antonio Conte being at a club, which is key importance for Leeds coming to town, because where do Leeds attack you? Where do Leeds like to hurt opposition? It's down the wing. It's with Rafinha, it's with Harrison, it's with Dan James. Donny Keys saying Moses there as well. Brilliant example, Donny. I mean, he made Victor Moses into one of the world's best right backs, one of the best right backs in the world, Victor Moses, so this is just so much evidence back into the fullbacks always being benefited by Antonio Conte coming in and improving that starting 11. So as I say, I watched them against Everton, slightly boring, but you could see his methods were coming into play a little bit. So if you look at the wing backs and you think to yourself, well, who are going to be improved by this, Connor? Well, Emerson Royale, who was brought in the summer window for Tottenham Hotspur, came with a lot of pedigree. Now, from what I've seen of him, I mean, Crystal Palace stands out a lot. Rafinha plays on the opposite side in terms of targeting him. He plays right back. Rafinha's going to be playing right midfield. So this is going to be really interesting, whether or not Leeds are going to be switching wings, because what I would do is face Rafinha up against Emerson Royale, because I'm not convinced by what I've seen. Zaha absolutely ruined him for 90 minutes. So as a direct person who Leeds can massively, massively hurt in this game, a weakness, it is Emerson Royale. He's obviously going to be benefited massively by this Antonio Conte system. But initially, when I'm looking at it, they've always struggled in the right back department for me in the last couple of years. They tried to plug it with Serge Aurier. Emerson Royale seems to be the solution they've come to. I am not convinced. Stick Rafinha up against him for me. That is what I would 100% do. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see what Leeds do, but rotating those wingers for this one could definitely change it up. Obviously, Reguilon on the other side had a good first game against Leeds under Mourinho, but I thought in the second game he was absolutely battered. I thought Leeds were fantastic in that second game. We're going to get on to that second game at Ellen Road in just a little bit, but Leeds, for me, even though Antonio Conte is very good with his wing-backs, I think Leeds can definitely get him behind with the pace of maybe a Dan James running into the channel if he is playing centre-forward again. Jack Harrison, we'll have a little bit of discussion about Jack Harrison, but definitely Rafinha as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing Rafinha after his excellent international break. Okay, when we look at the midfield as well, I've just heard Mohammed Smith in the comments saying Højbjerg injured. This is where there is a key midfield battle for Leeds United that we can win, that we can definitely win. Adam Forshaw coming back into the fray was a massive boost for Leeds United. We've not seen Adam Forshaw and Calvin Phillips as a two, as a pivot throughout Marcelo Bielsa's entire tenure for a consistent spell. So Leeds were morphing at points in that Leicester game into a 4-2-3-1, which I loved. I absolutely loved that because it meant we had more structure. We had a control of the game. We were composed in the midfield, and it wasn't all on Calvin Phillips. Now, why do you bring that up, Connor? Well, I bring that up because in this game, Oliver Skipp, who has been integral in that midfield for Tottenham Hotspur this season, was integral for Norwich's midfield in their championship promotion season as well, is going to be suspended for this one. So, you know, he's had a 2-year period, really, Oliver Skipp, where he's been absolutely fast. He's fantastic. Sorry. Speak to any Norwich fan, speak to any Tottenham fan. You know, for a Tottenham fan, he's developing into this player who they want to be seeing for years to come. Probably an upgrade on Harry Winks in that department. And with regards to Norwich fans absolutely loved him in the Championship. And we know when we have loanies in the Championship, that doesn't mean the bad players, a la Ben White. You know, it doesn't mean the bad players because there were loanies in the Championship. So he's going to be out. Another big one, apparently, went on international duty. Pierre Højbjerg was picked up a knock, which is big, which is absolutely big. So when you look at that midfield now for Spurs, it's a bit like a polo, isn't it? It's like a polo mint. You know, you got the whole round gone. You know, the bagel gone. You think to yourself, it is gone. That's it. That's fantastic in the midfield battle. The issue is they can bring in Ndombele, Lo Celso, and Harry Winks. So these are all players who can just fit into that role. They can plug the gap a little bit. So, you know, that is the advantage of being a top club, you know, and a lot of people may argue that Tottenham are or aren't a top club, but they have the facilities to be able to plug these players with Ndombele, who cost, 40-50 million. You know, Giovanni Lo Celso, who cost them, 30-40 million. They're able to do that, which is largely frustrating. But definitely there's a problem going up against Leeds in that department. You know, we saw Lo Celso last year really, really struggle at Ellen Road with the energy, the endeavour of the Leeds United players. And it was quite a weak side. It really was quite a weak side. So in terms of Leeds United that day at Ellen Road. So we're going to get onto that in a little bit. Now, the midfield is definitely somewhere Leeds can hurt them. And I don't know about you guys, and we're going to get into your comments as well in just a little bit. Of course, we are. I'm just trying to get through the basis of the preview. It's going to be the cutting edge. Leicester City and Wolves, for me, are games that Leeds United should have won. Wolves scored and then sat. And listen, we were all happy afterwards. Wolves had gone four wins out of 5. We were the only ones to stop them. Ellen Road was bouncing. Joffrey was fantastic. Leicester, but they sat back, didn't they? Sorry, with regards to Wolves, they sat back, invited Leeds on. And I felt that was definitely a game where we could have turned it. But in terms of a creative aspect, Leeds really struggled. And obviously without Patrick Bamford, Leeds are struggling. But we're going to have to get over that at some point if he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. That's a game I thought we could have won. And that brings me to the cutting edge aspect. Leicester, we had to win that game, in my opinion. On reflection, a fantastic point against an excellent Leicester side, the strongest Leicester side we could have faced. I'm still a little bit worried about that cutting edge into the final third. We saw chances for Jack Harrison on the line. We saw chances for Dan James, you know, just a little bit of composure in front of goal. We saw a chance for Rodrigo on his left foot with a brilliant ball in from Stuart Dallas. The reason I bring all these points up is because Leeds are against a top side at the weekend. We're against a world-class manager as well. If we get these chances, Leeds just simply have to put them away. We have to put them away. And that's definitely something that I'm taking away from the past couple of weeks. Leeds have definitely been improving. I think we've improved in the middle of the park. I think defensively we've shored up. I think you've seen a lot more passing combinations and maybe a little bit more of a cohesiveness out wide. The cutting edge is still a massive problem for me. It's still a massive, massive problem for me. So that's going to be fascinating to see how we work around that. Because in my personal opinion right now, Dan James has been deployed as a striker. There's no way Rodrigo's playing up there for me. It's Dan James as a striker. And he's very efficient in the press, very good at that aspect. But unfortunately, Dan James isn't an out ball. You know, he's someone who can definitely run into the channels, which can aid Leeds. But Leeds do like to play the out ball when they're under pressure. It's not always through the midfield and the transitions, which a lot of people forget. Everybody thinks we play out from the back all the time. That's not true. If you watch Leeds, there are so many occasions where we bypass the midfield. but there's got to be an out ball there, and that is where we're lacking at the minute, and that's the Bamford thing, isn't it? So a few facts on stats around the game. Spurs have won 6 of the last 10 meetings against Leeds United, which I was quite surprised at, to be honest, because maybe early sort of, when I was growing up, I'm 28, by the way, when I was growing up, Leeds always had the better of them, but I think that was Leeds had the better of them at Ellen Road. I always remember Viduka, Keane, Ian Hart. They'd always managed to infiltrate the game a little bit more, But who did they have back then? Perry, Anderton, Sheringham, Les Ferdinand back in the day. So it was always here and there, really, with Leeds and Tottenham. But I think they had the better of us down at White Hart Lane. And I think that has continued. Spurs winning 6 of the last 10 meetings. Now, 2 or more goals for Tottenham Hotspur in 8 of the last 10 clashes. So, I mean, that's a significant stat, isn't it? Now, this one's a little bit wayward as well because it's since 2002. Leeds have been out of the Premier League since 2004. But against Leeds United, they've had 2 or more goals in every home game. Excuse me, guys. That's what happens when you're live. But yeah, I think the key thing to note as well is Leeds' last win on the road. Well, Leeds have had 1 win on the road in 6 months. But positively, really, really positively, it was in London. It was in London against Fulham. There you go. So a decent win at Fulham, but that's a little bit of a link there. We did it in London last time, but it is 1 win on the road. So Leeds have got to start rectifying this at some point. I know there's a lot of people not talking about relegation and this, that, and the other. It can't just be your home form. You've got to sort it out in terms of going away from home and getting results. The caveat with this is Tottenham Hotspur. It's arguably a top 6 club. We're not expected to go there and get anything. So, and I hate this term, but it's a free hit. But I hate that term because no game should be a free hit. We're Leeds United. We're not Norwich City, We're not, whoever. I'm trying to think of more examples, but Norwich City. We're not that style of club. We're at Leeds United. We're a massive club. We want to be going everywhere and trying to win the game. So, that's definitely something to take away from it. Now, the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is Joffy. Now, a lot of people are talking about starting Joffy. Where should he play? He was injured last week. That's why he didn't feature. He wasn't even in the squad. What are Leeds going to do this week? I'd listen. We've had discussions about it on the debrief. I would love Joffy to start. I think he's ready, 100%. I think he's more than ready to start. And we were discussing it on the debrief as well the other day. There is an argument that Jack Harrison is left out for this game. We'll wait for team news and all this sort of stuff because Leeds might have to move things around. Joffy might not be fit for this one, but if Jack Harrison is ready and Joffy is ready, there is an argument that Harrison is left out of this one and Joffy comes in. There is an argument for that, and it's fresh impetus. It's something that Tottenham won't expect, and we know his quality. They will not be expecting who's Joe Gelhardt. Who's that? Joe Gelhardt. And we know exactly what he did when he came on against Wolverhampton Wanderers, was given a little bit of time and just that it was a wrecking ball in that game. And he's clearly more than ready. So I would love to see him start for Leeds. I'd love to see him start for Leeds. So whether or not that's Harrison coming out, I personally wouldn't bring Rodrigo out, but it's definitely something to bear in mind. It is definitely something to bear in mind. And there's a lot of people as well talking about Joffrey being in the 8 and the 10. Nah, he's a 9. He's 100% a number 9. 100% a number 9. So yeah, that'll be really interesting to see. Talking about number 9s, nice segue, Connor. It's as if I've teed myself up. Harry Kane. He's not been on form. He's had a little bit of transfer dispute in the summer. Evidently wanted to go to Manchester City. Didn't want to stick around at Spurs. Has stuck around at Spurs. Has actually found himself in a reasonably decent position in terms of Antonio Conte coming in. And hopefully for Kane improving his game after this Leeds game. But yeah, England, he scored, 7 goals in 2 games. It's so frustrating because, listen, I'm not saying it's going to transition into club form, but of course England tee him up with Albania and San Marino. Listen, you got to pay a bit of credit to him. I know the standard of opposition, but some of the finishes were absolutely sublime. I remember watching him at Ellen Road and thinking, wow, we're in the Premier League. Wow, we are in the Premier League. I think he had against Leeds last time out, and you guys will remember, he scored a penalty, he smacked the post, and I think he had a couple of efforts which whistled past the post, whistled. I just remember turning to my dad and thinking, this guy is just elite. So what we don't want is a Harry Kane coming back into form. 4 shots that day. And I just remember him being almost, well, exactly like Shearer was every time he played against Leeds. It was just inches or he'd score. And that is not what we want in this game. The stats aren't favouring Leeds in terms of our games against Tottenham down there and how they've scored 2 or more goals against us in the last 8 out of 10 games, whatever it is. But hopefully if we can get out of this without conceding a goal, that would be what a result, even if it is 0-0. I am taking a point all day long. I'm taking a point all day long in this one. But if we can nick a 1-0 or whatever, that'd be fantastic. And what a complete credit it will be to our defence and Adam Forshaw and Calvin Phillips just manning that midfield and manning the defence as well, just in front of it, to be able to come away from this with a clean sheet. It'd be absolutely fantastic. So we go to the last game. The last game Leeds played against Tottenham, 3-1 at Ellen Road. Leeds were fantastic. Could have had 6, in my opinion, in that game. Really, really good performance. But the problem was the best performance on the day was Ezjan Alioski, who probably had the best performance he's ever had in a Leeds shirt against Tottenham at Ellen Road. That will be backed up evidence-wise, by an average of an 8.5 rating. An average of an 8.5 rating for Ezjan Alioski when he played up against Tottenham last time. He was absolutely unbelievable. If you remember that game, luckily for me, I've got a memory like an elephant, so I'm able to remember these things. But he was fantastic. Bamford was an absolute nuisance. And those two were pivotal in Leeds getting the win. Now, what we also saw was Pascal and Llorente as a back two. That is something I would like to see. It's no disparaging thing on Liam Cooper. I just feel Pascal and Llorente together. If Junior Firpo is back, I feel those two together will be able to man Harry Kane a lot more than maybe a Cooper and a Llorente. I think Pascal Struijk and Diego Llorente, we saw it so much last season towards the back end where they were absolutely fantastic together. Real great partnership. And I think this against Harry Kane is much needed. But obviously, if Firpo is out, is Struijk going to go to left back? Now, I feel it's all right at Ellen Road. I feel it's all right against teams maybe we should be getting results against, but I don't want to see him against Moura. I don't want to see him against Lucas Moura, or even if he's interchanging with Son and Son's going out there as well. I don't want to see Struijk against him, not because it's any disparaging comment on Pascal. He's up against the two arguably world-class wingers there, so it's going to be very, very different for him. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see with that one. But yeah, as I say, I'll take a point right now. But interestingly, the last time we played them, Robin Koch was in central defensive midfield. He was also fantastic, absolutely fantastic in that game, Robin. He got an 8 out of 10 rating from a source which I really, really trust, which is good. Tyler Roberts played. No comment, but, on this particular rating site, he did get a 5 out of 10, which, yeah, there you go. So, and then you had Click playing there as well. So arguably, listen, Patrick Bamford is pivotal to Leeds United, so the side is definitely not stronger now. But you look at when we played them last time, Matisse Click was in the starting lineup, which I don't think we're going to see when Adam Forshaw's about. Tyler Roberts was there, which we're obviously not going to see when Rodrigo's there. And Koch was there as well, which is obviously what we're not going to see when Calvin Phillips is there. So there were still changes in that lineup and Leeds were excellent. So there's definitely positives there. But I don't really know how I expect Leeds to line up, to be honest. I would go with Meslier in net, Dallas right back, Llorente and Struijk as a back, as a centre-back partnership. Hopefully Junior Firpo in at left back. I'd go KP in the middle. With Forshaw, like a bit of a double pivot. Forshaw maybe just in front of him. Obviously, Rodrigo just ahead of them. You're going to have to go... Or you go Gelhardt, Rodrigo, Raf, and then Dan James. That's potentially what you go for, to be honest. And we will not see, we'll have no idea what goes on until the Marcelo Bielsa press conference tomorrow, but we will wait and see. I'm going to dive into your comments now. I can't believe this has gone on for 30 minutes, guys. You need to tell me that I'm not I'm waffling all the time. I thought this was 10 minutes. Still been going on. James says they had Eric Dyer last time. Calvin to pocket Kane says Phil. We are missing Alioski. Check out the debrief, Steve. If you haven't already, we had a big debate on that. It was fantastic. A lot of opinions going everywhere about that one. So make sure I'm not going to answer that. Make sure you check out the debrief for a full one on that. Phil says 3-1 again. The last season, We won the title in 1992. We won at Tottenham 3-1. We did, Ian. Well done. That's nice to hear. Ian says, I saw that a major pundit won Leeds side that Greenwood deserves to get major minutes. Yeah, potentially, mate. But if you're looking at Gelhardt as the number 9, Gelhardt's way ahead of him for me. And Joffrey just simply has to start. There's people in this Leeds team right now, in my opinion, going forward, who shouldn't be starting for Leeds. I think you all know who, like, people who I'm talking about in general. But Joffrey is someone who for me just has to start. He's got everything. He's got everything. James says, once again, personally, I'm not worried. Cooper and Llorente will shut Kane down. I probably would prefer Struijk in there, to be honest with you, but I'd be all right with Cooper. I'd be a bit worried about maybe a mistake in this one. Steve Bond says, when is Bill Ayling back? We don't know yet. That's coming tomorrow, mate. But get your score predictions in, guys. Gale has gone with 2-2. Any more, get them in the comment section below as quickly as you can. Joffrey will be ready. Romero is another one. Really good point. I've just seen that as well. Romero, says John. Romero, the centre-back, Tottenham centre-back, will also be missing for this one. So you've got Romero. Son did take a knock, but I feel like he's going to be available for this one. He came out and confirmed it on social media. Højbjerg and Skip. So yeah, potentially you've got 4 out there. Realistically, maybe 3. So we've got 1-1, says Gary. Tracy says 1-1. James has said he prefers Struijk there as well. 3-1 Tottenham, says Gamer Guy. Ethan. Bamford injured. JP, as I've said, mate, we don't know until tomorrow. I think it's likely that PB will be injured, to be honest. Billy Snowden. That's got me going, Billy. It really has, mate. Look at that. 1-0 Leeds. Gelhardt last minute. 3-0, says Mo. 4-1, says Rick. Rafa hat-trick and Roddy. 2-1 Leeds win, says Graham Wood Robinson. Guys, listen. I'm going to leave it there. I've been waffling for 30 minutes. Hope you've got more of an insight. There's 340 of you in here now. Please like the video. Loads of you just click off. If you just like the video, it just indicates that to me that you're enjoying it. If I know you're enjoying it, I'll keep doing it. If I don't think you're enjoying it, I just won't. I'll stop it and try to think of something else. Make sure you hit the like button. I've enjoyed going live. It's been great catching up with you. Sorry if I've been a bit rusty just by myself. But yeah, hopefully this is going to be a Leeds win. I'm going to go for a 2-2. I'm going to go for a 2-2 in this one. As I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. And keep your comments flooding in, guys. I always go in the comment section below and read out everything everyone puts as well all the time. So I'm not one of those creators who just ignores. So make sure you get in the comment section below. Get your thoughts in there. And guys, have a good one. Stay happy and healthy. Come on, Leeds. And I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.